Hello everyone, greetings from National Skills Network, Hyderabad. Engineers Day is a very important day for all of us in India, not only to recollect and celebrate the contributions of Sir Visvesvaraya, which is so very immense and valuable for all of us for generations to come, but it is also a day to reflect on the current challenges of engineers, their work, their world of work, and engineering education also. So picking few points from this, I would like to make a small presentation on this occasion to all the engineers. And maybe through this, I also convey the message of the importance of skill development, the importance of skilling, bringing skills and education together, continuous learning and upskilling, which is very relevant, particularly in the time of the pandemic, the after effects, and the impact of pandemic, which is changing our lives every day. So let's get started. Uh, Once again, I wish to thank the Institute of Engineers Angul Center, Odisha, for this opportunity to speak on a very important occasion, that's Engineers Day 2021. And the topic that was given to me was about skill development and employment in the context of combating COVID 19. How do we overcome the challenges of COVID 19? So I have tried to look at the larger, the bigger picture of what is happening around us and relate it with perhaps what would have been the dream of Sir Visvesvaraya when he was working, when he was contributing actively to build the nation, to build India. And he has equally contributed to education in engineering, establishing the first engineering college in Karnataka. And as we all know, Karnataka is one of the key hubs for engineering in India. So getting inspiration from a life which was so very noble and so very valuable, let us go ahead and understand today's scenario. Engineering and technology are always taken together. We understand them together because they are connected, they are related, and sometimes they are also used interchangeably. So engineering is the mind and effort into making something, and technology is the result of it. It is the application of mind and effort. This is something I picked up from the internet while I was trying to get some interesting ideas to make this presentation more relevant. So what I mean to say is that engineers and people who are into technology are people who have been developing our nation, who have been contributing to the infrastructure, who have been doing wonders by designing, building, creating, making, maintaining lot of things that we enjoy today as a part of our life. If it was Sir Visvesvaraya several decades ago, maybe in recent past we think of Mr. Sridharan, who has contributed so much to bringing metro rail in India. There could be several women engineers whose names I am not able to pick up now, but there could be hundreds of women engineers as well who have been working day and night to contribute to building the nation. So, what is important here is to understand that the role of the engineer is indispensable as they enable livelihoods, as they create jobs. Most of them are entrepreneurs, and most of them are also people who are connected with R&D. And engineers are also people who come up with several innovations. They create products, services, and sustainable innovations and solutions. Now, what has happened in the recent past has definitely an impact on what is the future and the present for engineers, for employment in the engineering domain and education and engineering. As we are all aware, COVID 19 has brought in many challenges in the domain of engineering and technology. There are many things that perhaps could have paused, could have got stopped, many projects, many activities, and also people were losing their jobs because of the kind of impact it had during the last 1.5 years. And on the other hand, we also saw that there were a lot of people who were migrating, and then people who were losing jobs. And how do we look at this big picture when there is a flux, when there are things that are not going in the way they used to? I'm mostly looking at people who are from the private sector, who are small entrepreneurs, who are connected with engineering, and also, people who were dependent on these jobs, for their livelihoods, for their to run their families and contribute to, the larger economy. So it was not easy for anybody during these days, and the coming days lot of changes have to be made to look at how engineering education, engineering skilling can improve the situation or the days that are to come. If we look at this as a challenge, there are ways to understand. Yes, there are few challenges that came up. Maybe new jobs are coming up, maybe people are losing jobs, maybe there is automation, maybe there are a lot of changes that are coming in because of technology. But when we look at it as an opportunity, we can look at many positive things, many positive changes that are happening around us. So, how do we go ahead and look at these positive changes or the opportunities that are getting created? First and most important, I think skill development and training has been given so much importance in the last few days, more so because the pandemic has created a situation where we need to relook at the way we are doing things. Whether it is the job that we are doing, whether it is a course we are offering in engineering, whether it's an engineering field which is connected with mechanical, or which is connected with aeronautics, engineering, construction, any form of engineering, any activity connected with engineering and technology might be undergoing a lot of changes because of the pandemic. So how do we prepare ourselves to embrace that change? How do we prepare ourselves to look at these things with a new lens, with a from a new angle and a perspective? So looking at engineering and technology again, reimagining it would be the need of the hour, because this brings in the theory and practice together. And when we talk about bringing in the theory and practice, when we talk about applying the theoretical principles to solve a solution, to solve a problem, create solutions, then the engineer's role becomes absolutely important. And this is where I think new skills, a need for skilling and upskilling is becoming all the more critical. So engineering education has to be combined with new skills. If we look at the way engineering education is being offered today, if you look at any family in India for that matter, many families for that matter, always aspire, their children to become engineers. It's very fascinating. It really fascinates a whole lot of people to see their children as engineers, because it's one of the most aspirational degrees to get. But what happens after getting that degree is a big question, because there are so many engineering colleges today. The quality of engineering education is in question, and the supply of engineers is so much that most of the engineers become most of them become either maybe delivery boys. You see cab drivers, you see people who are managing retail outlets. Anywhere you see, it looks like engineering degrees become something like a higher secondary school certification. But is that what they're supposed to do? I'm sure that's not. Engineering has its own goals, it has its own values, but somewhere I think things have got a bit confused. And then we need to now look at it and understand what is the relevance of engineering for the industry, how does it meet the dynamic demands of the industry. And the question of engineers' employability is very, very important at this point in time. We need to go back and understand, how do we make these engineers employable? I mean, do they really have the skills that the industry wants? Are they equipped with the 21st century skills that the workplace demands? Like, let's say, resilience, good communication, being agile for that matter, or being creative. So, are they really aware of most of these things? Are the colleges preparing them with these skills? Maybe, engineering education needs to be relooked at to overcome or to understand what has been the impact of COVID-19, and how do we prepare the future engineers to solve these problems. And if you look at the world of work where the engineers work, any job for that matter today is highly insecure, because as we know, there are many changes that are happening in the economy at the higher level. And even if you think of a government job, even a government job is not stable and secure, because most of the government job profiles are also undergoing change. They are all becoming performance based, they are becoming more and more challenging, and then there is also a need for creativity, new skills to be imbibed, and also to be a continuous learner, and many new things are coming up even in the realm of government jobs. And in addition to all that, we are faced with what is known as gig economy, an economy which is mainly dependent on contractual jobs, freelancing work, and work which is not rather stable or secure as it used to be. So, how do we prepare people for this? How do we prepare engineers for this? This is where new skills are needed for new jobs. So, if people are doing things the old way, it's not going to help. If colleges, for example, are following old curricula, to give you an example, if you look at engineering and the kind of curriculum which is being offered, if they are not able to address the new products that are coming into the market, the new technologies that are being used to develop these products, then this curriculum is not going to be useful. And for people who are already working, upskilling, reskilling, and continuous learning is absolutely essential. It has to be integrated with their work. Given a lot of people should be given a lot of opportunities to get upskilled, and to undergo training programs to get upskilled and reskilled, because many changes are happening around us, particularly with the impact of industry 4.0, automation, robotics, and so many things that are getting integrated into our jobs. And the covid pandemic has also added the remote work as a challenge, and most of us are still working remotely, but then probably in the coming days there could be a change in the way we work also. Of course, in engineering, if you look at manufacturing, certainly remote work doesn't apply to a manufacturing or a construction scenario, but there could be other fields in engineering where remote working is possible. For example, if you are in IT industry, if you are in ITS industry or service industry, lot of work still happens from home. This demands a totally new set of skills. So what we need to do, perhaps, when we have to reimagine the kind of situation that we are facing because of covid-19 pandemic and its impact, I would say one of the most important things is to understand the impact on education and training, and look at the big picture, which is not just IITs or engineering colleges, but look at a combination of the entire ecosystem for engineering and technology and technical education, wherein we connect IITs with ITIs, with polytechnics and engineering colleges, and see how all of them can come together and offer solutions to education, where there is a lot of give and take between these colleges and institutions. Today, if you look at it, ITIs are seen as the lower level of education and training, whereas IITs are the creamy layer. But then the post pandemic scenario demands new solutions, new forms of learning, where I think all of them have to come together and understand the interdependencies and how a holistic larger picture of engineering and technical education can be created in India. And there has to be a strong industry connect for STEM education, which is science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. These subjects are going to be much more important in the coming days. And we need to see how the industry connect can be much stronger through apprenticeships and internships. Perhaps this is something that can really help us in creating a workforce which is appropriately skilled, and also most importantly to bring the inclusion, and also to balance the gender equation in education and at the workplace. Girls should be encouraged in STEM education and given lot of encouragement, and opportunities to excel and go ahead, with proper education. And they are the ones perhaps who would bring in a very different perspective to the entire engineering field. Another important aspect, I think, is to prepare for a very digital kind of a future, because as we all know today, even at the MSME level, small enterprises, medium enterprises, or micro enterprises are all undergoing digital transformation. So how do we enable this digital transformation? By empowering engineers to look at new ways of creating solutions, new ways of creating processes and products. I think this is one area where a lot of work needs to be done, and engineers have to come up with new solutions through new knowledge and continuous learning, as I was just saying. And then application of this knowledge to come up with these solutions is absolutely essential. At the same time, while we do this, I think the right skills play a very important role in enhancing productivity, efficiency, and business revenues for any company or organization that they are working for. So digital future is something that we cannot ignore, and that has to be brought into the larger picture of engineering employment and education. Now, coming to the employability and employment of education of engineers, I guess there is a huge demand for jobs in the software industry segment, and irrespective of any specialization, most engineering students today would want to work in the software industry. And if they don't get a job in software industry, they feel very disappointed, and they keep this as their first priority. But I think time has come where it is not the dream of every it should not be the dream of every young person to aspire for software industry jobs, but look at, and also going abroad and looking at that as a career path. But look at our own country and look at the challenges we are facing, and use that engineering degree or engineering education to come up with solutions, to come up with to come up with not only solutions but innovative things that can help perhaps the larger economy in India itself. And even if they want to go into the software line, but I think what they need to do is look at things which are helping us in the rural areas, in where people really need our help, where we have to really let's say, for example, you want to look at the development sector, you want to look at the challenges that are faced by people at the grassroots level. I think these engineers can come up with creative solutions and contribute to the development, and this could be one very important and interesting challenge for them to look at these solutions. So if hackathons are coming up, hackathons are being are being planned for by engineering colleges, I think they should also look at some other creative solutions which can help a lot of people in the rural areas and develop the rural economy. At the same time, keep in mind that environment and sustainable solutions are also equally important. Another area where engineers have to really contribute more. So I would say engineers who are currently working are the ones who could be excellent mentors, who could bring in the industry knowledge and industry wisdom for grooming the younger engineers and showing them the new career option which has to do with entrepreneurship. And as we know, in India as a country, we don't encourage entrepreneurship so much. We are all always in favor of getting a government job, getting a secure and stable job which gives a salary at the end of the month. In fact, we don't even encourage people to enter into the private sector. So in with such a mindset, how do we encourage people to take up entrepreneurship? I think engineering graduates and engineering degree holders are amazing people who can come up with very interesting ideas to solve a lot of issues and problems by offering products and solutions. What they need is good support. Like I said, engineers who are already there, already working, senior people in the engineering field can come together and build a support system like we have in many engineering colleges for entrepreneurship and startup support. I think this has to be extended to rural areas. This has to be extended to many other parts of India where a lot of young people can take up the challenge of coming up with solutions, coming up with products and services which help in developing the nation. So here I think small entrepreneurs and others who can contribute to the development should also be given an opportunity, because they are the ones who are the future of the country. So, with this, I wish to thank you for giving me this opportunity to speak to you. I hope I could convey the importance of skill development in the field of engineering, skill development at the level of college, upskilling for people who are already working as engineers, and continuous learning for all of us who are connected with engineering field, because the only way to combat either the pandemic which we are going through right now or any crisis that comes up in our professional lives is only through continuous learning. And when we say continuous learning, skilling becomes an integral part of continuous learning. And when I say skilling now, skilling is again to do with hands-on learning, hands-on getting hands-on experience, trying things with our hands. So I would like to close with a small example again to convey the importance of skilling. We have hundreds and thousands of engineers in India who are always looking for jobs because we have a continuous supply of engineers in every part of the country. If you ask any engineer how much of hands-on experience they have had, whether it is to do with mechanical or civil or any of the engineering fields, I'm sure if they are coming from an average engineering college, they would have just picked up lot of theory, lot of knowledge, but they wouldn't have had experience of building a wall like a mason does, or fixing an electrical bulb, or plumbing, or trying their hands at some kind of a plumbing activity, or trying their hands with anything which is really a hands-on experience. I think this is where the engineers first have to get that real rich experience of working with their hands. Only then they will understand the rigor, they will understand the value of the activity, the value of the discipline which they are going through, and contribute and do their best as engineers. And we need them all today. So thank you so much once again for giving me this opportunity to speak to you today. I wish you all engineers a wonderful future, and I really would want to appreciate your effort once again, uh, and wish you again a bright future in the post-pandemic India, post-pandemic world. Your contribution means a lot, and skilling is something which every engineer can take up and contribute. A skill development is an important activity where we need a lot of industry support. So please do come forward and contribute and join the movement to Skill India in whatever way you can. Thank you so much. Goodbye.